Welcome back and thank you for joining. If you're just joining us, you're still on the Polity, reaching you live from the nation's capital in Abuja. Now we'll be joined by Jonathan Isaac, a Noja, a security analyst. But before we get into that, we read the story before we came into the studio and like us to take the story again, where the House of Representatives has condemned in strong term the gruesome and brutal killing of security personnel, bank officials, and community members in Otukpo, Benue State following a recent robbery attack. Now, the House equally called on the federal government to urgently increase the security presence in Otukpo to avoid the reoccurrence of armed robbery attack witnessed in the area. Now, this resolution followed the adoption of a motion raised on the matters of urgent national importance, sponsored by Honorable Blessing Onu from Benue State during plenary on Tuesday. I'd like us to welcome Onoja, Jonathan Isaac. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
It's good to have you here. I'd like us to just delve into it because of our time. Do you think this case is a case of urgent intervention, and do you think the Nigerian federal government has handled this the way they are actually supposed to?
Well, these questions are historic, saying that, it brings us back to the case of Boko Haram in those states and how they handled it. You see, if you look at the attack carefully, the attacks on the Otukpo police stations and the banks, and sort of the killings of almost 8 persons, you will see that it was a coordinated attack, and that it is no longer new, as the systems of attack already from the southeast have been established. Quite unfortunate for the government and the people, because the government have not been actually proactive, and I don't think they have been true to the cause of fighting insecurity. Take, for instance, there were killings of police officers in somewhere, Anambra State. Days after, there was another killing in Imo State. And then, let me say, the southeast region have been under this attack. This was an attempt, that should be an opportunity for the state governors to see the divers or the current trends of attacks on police stations and all of that, and then fortified police stations. That was not done. Now, there was other issues of robbery or attacks on prisons. Attacks on prison, even down to the presidential villa. Why am I using the presidential villa? I have to use the presidential villas in this instance that less than 33 kilometers to Kuje prison. We have the Almighty War College. We have the police headquarters. We have the DSS headquarters. We have the NIA. And again, having assembled those people in the federal capital territory, coming from the Kuje Axis, you have all set of checkpoints
there.
Yet we have people break into a correctional facilities, had the time to free inmates, and had the time to equally do a prayer sessions and give money to inmates to go to go for their unlawful businesses. This shows a classical weakness on the part of the security, and shows that we don't have what we call intelligence gathering. Now, the state governors collect money for what they call security votes. And these security votes, going back to Otukpo issues now, these security votes, how far have they utilized the security votes? There was a killing of a DPO around Naka. There was a killing, there was not even just a killing, there were killings of about 9 persons, again, in the same zone. And days after, they invaded a community somewhere in Adoka, even where the son of the current Otukpo local government chairman was killed. All of these were pointers to let you know that your zones are not actually well protected. There is no proper boundary security in Benue State. As I speak with you, I am not too sure, because just 2 days back, it's too embarrassing for a state like Benue State not to have a state security advisor. The governor could not even appoint a state security advisor. A governor that has not even visited a scene of crime since this incident happened, aside the deputy governor's visit and that of the commissioner's visit, and subsequently the press release by the Inspector General of Police, and also backed up by the House of Reps, as usual, a 1 minute silence on that. The 1 minute silence have not changed the physical security architecture of the state. The 1 minute silence cannot bring back the lives lost. So when we talk about security in its own entirety, we must be holistic. We must be real to the issues of fighting this, because I really don't know the preparedness. What is currently now on ground? Now, if you go to police station, I don't see whether they have done erected defense of the police stations to have either a bulletproof gate and have maybe like 4 vehicles given to the police for the purpose of patrol and responding to emergencies. You know, if you see how the attack is and where they gunned down these two robbers that they will now use parading and all of that, probably the fear of the vehicle got finished, because I gathered that it was the vehicle they even used was a vehicle that belongs to the divisional police officer that was killed in the process. That the vehicle that was stolen from the police station, and others were taken from maybe unfortunate victims. Now, if maybe because they don't have enough fuel in that vehicle, because unfortunately it has become something that practice, when you ask the police officer or when you ask the team to go to somewhere, they say we don't have fuel. You know, it could be that was the reason why that the vehicle could not even move them to their destination. They have to drop it and move, and then in the process they're gone down. If they had enough fuel, maybe they would have escaped with it. Now, I am trying to look at it from a security point of view. What exactly has the governor done differently? You know, we talked, according to the Inspector General of Police, he says we have built before formations and all of that. It was in this country, a president told us that he asked, you know, the Inspector General of Police to go to Benue State, and that he was not aware. And since he was not aware, that was the end of it. Now let me bring you back again. The IGP has said he has given further directives, you know, for manpower and all of that. The same commissioner is still there, and nothing has changed. Of course, it was on grants when this happened. We don't have response mechanism. What did it take for a state that is under attack for more than 2 hours to have helicopters go there and rescue? You know, just if you see helicopters up there and then everything you are doing, you have to stop it. But we don't have response mechanism. It's not a lot of, you know, lacunas everywhere.
You're speaking about lacuna now. Before we delve into the federal government or the state government intervening into this, some persons have said these attacks were obviously planned and prepared, because I mean 2 hours is a lot of time to actually carry out that kind of operation. So now could it be said that that's more like a banditry, or are we looking at terrorism, or it's just plain armed robbery attack?
Well, what happened there is beyond armed robbery. Do you understand it? It's beyond armed robbery. You know, armed robbery, yes, there will be casualties in the process. There will be, of course, kind of bulleting someone's legs and all of that. Yeah. But when it is direct killings, when it is, you know, purposely killing the people for the purpose of getting the money, you know, it is beyond robbery. It is something we should be looking at terrorism. You know, because it's not like banditry. It is terrorism, because they're not just even in a particular location. They invaded the entire community.
Exactly.
The entire town, and hold them hostage. So you look at it, we are talking about a state that we don't even have a crime gallery, a state, and you don't even have these people coming. But let me tell you something. It's a state. The map is in my pan. If you're driving from the Otukpo, exiting from the Otukpo, going towards you know, Bokolo, you know, Otukpa and all of that, you will see checkpoints of, you know, of all kinds, of those sort of checkpoints, and at every point, why are there those checkpoints? It's for you to give them anything for the boys. Anything for the boys. Now, if you're coming from the Adoka side and then coming into the Tukpotan, the Tukpo roundabout, or even before Adoka, where you're supposed to have a correct checkpoints. The only checkpoint have the little checkpoints around the Adoka houses, and nothing is doing there. There's no digital search there. There you can see and explain to people that what they are carrying inside the vehicle, all of that. Now people come into the community, the police themselves, they are not well prepared. At the same time again,
we don't have hotels because it's a coordinated attack. Hotels are not giving manifestos of whatever their clients or their guests who are lodging that are supposed to be supplied. Because if you have real manifestos, like your national identity card has to be, part of the things requirement.
But you actually know all of these things can be forged now, not to give our viewers a perception about forgery and all of that. But then all these things, I mean, I've seen people do NIN, fake one, and all of that just because they need proof of identification. But then, speaking about hotels not getting the documents or knowing their customers, do you think the hotel should actually be prying so much into having these people say, oh, who are you, why are you sleeping in so place at a particular time? And then you would agree with me that for them to actually hold a whole community hostage, that means they must have done proper survey.
Yes, of course.
How come no intelligence leaked? Or could it be said that intelligence leaked, and of course our intelligence people just shoved it aside the normal way people
do you have any intelligence in this country?
And then you spoke about helicopters, which is, let me use the word laughable, because we've not even seen where they attacked Kaduna State, I think NDIA, and then nothing was done, of course. But speaking about this, what do you think the state government should have done different? Because I'm someone that talks about problems, and I like us to prefer solutions.
Of course.
So the state governor is watching right now, or probably the head of particular security from Benue State. What do you think they should have done different? Because I even heard that they actually left on foot.
Of course.
They left on foot, and that has given the Nigerian police force that should give them ample time to actually be able to chase them and bring them to book. But then, at the end of the day, nothing has been done except for bring, I think, 2 persons and parade them aside. What do you think should have been done different? And moving forward, this is not just something that affects Benue State alone. It affects every other state, because, of course, we've seen where they attack. There was an armed robbery attack, I think, a few years back in somewhere in Ondo State, I think, or something. And then now, moving forward, let's talk about the security personnel themselves. What do you think they should have done differently? You've mentioned part of the problem: no fuel in their car.
Of course.
Which is laughable.
Yes.
So I'd like you to go ahead with that.
Well, there are no proper, when we talk about our security problems, our personnel, look at the way, like I still use the DPO, look at the way he was killed. Now, if that DPO was carried probably a helmet, he was carrying a bulletproof car, an unmotorized car, this would not have happened to him. Of course, he's going to take defense and then see how he can take cover and then see how he can respond to the emergencies. So we must properly equip our personnel and see how they will be well protected even while carrying out their duties. I am not here to blackmail anybody, but you will agree with me that in 2023, this same year, we see how a pastor was saved, and with the help of a bulletproof car, and then maybe leave the police, the personnel to under the grace of the anointing of on the white handkerchiefs. So we must go beyond this and begin to put in practical measures in place to see how our personnel, even while carrying out their duty, should be protected. Now, there are no exit plans, exit route. Like our police stations, modern police stations, the building is not internal with reality, because you can invade them and then finish them, and there will be no exit. You understand it? And the building, the structure itself are not properly positioned as to the exit and then to the ends of the cities. So that when you try to escape from one zone or one place to another, there should be either an outpost that should be able to respond to these emergencies. So we have to see how our outposts can be located around the exit points of the city, so that while you finish from the central aspect of it, the exit point A cannot respond, point B should be able to attend to these emergencies. And then our forest guards, actually we don't know, because one of the things
we have them.
We really don't have them. But we have to
boundaries are not even protected.
Boundary securities are not there. Boundaries are not, because initially it was talked about herders and farmers clashes. You get it? Now we have gone on from that the people can invade the whole community and they will still finish what they want to do and go back. So these people are coming from a particular place. How do they move? Is it on foot? Is it on motorcycles? And all of that. So when we talk about security, you see, we must say physical security. on ground. Now I come to your studio, I'm seeing closed circuit television. You know, that consciousness that whatever I do here is a record. You should give me, you know, that thinking that I can't do otherwise. That is what, when you begin to say physical presence of our security,
and of
well prepared.
People know that
well prepared. People will begin to adjust to reality. That you can't do this and go, because you know at point A there are police officers, you know, at point B at the exit there are police officers, so they must prepare themselves. At the forest we still have the lifeguards that are there to respond to some of these things. So we don't have boundary security, we don't have proper physical security, we don't have intelligence gathering, there is no neighborhood watch. Ask me, go to the state now, ask neighbors or ask some landlords to tell me where do your tenant work.
Okay, so you're talking about that, because I was going to get to the community themselves. You would agree with me that for such communities, or let me use where I come from as an example, nobody moves in and out of that place without somebody knowing something.
Exactly.
So we are now saying, don't you think the community, they have their own role to play, or maybe they fail themselves, because we cannot continue to blame the federal government or the state government all the time. There's something they say about being your neighbor's keeper. Oh, you're seeing a new face, that's fine. But then you're doing new faces, because you can't tell me that they would probably have just one informant. So now I would like you to address our viewers and probably talk about how most of them can stay at alert given the level of insecurity we have, not just in Benue State right now, the country at large.
All right, let me tell you something. Insecurity is a multidimensional issue.
Okay.
Do you understand it? Now, we talked about community policing. That's where you're going to.
Yes, correct.
And you agree with me that community policing is just a concept of the community versus the police. Do you understand it? That's what community policing is. Community policing, in its real concept, practical terms, is the community versus the police. And that's why people begin to agitate for state police. Now, if you talk about community policing in this instance and neighborhood watch, because that's where your question comes from. Now, you would agree with me that there is a kind of a distrust from the people and also the police. So, not until that trust, is achieved or brought back to life, then you cannot have an effective community policing. Why is it so? You saw one Mr. K.A. came into the community at a time and an odd hour, and at the only time you don't see him go to work. See him inside his room. Only time he goes out maybe around 12 a.m., 2 a.m. he opens his door, crack his door open and go out. You go and then report to the nearest division. The nearest division will maybe come to do the physical or the eye service as Nigerians have tagged. Invite him. The same man that you invited will go back and meet one DCU, one else will say, hey, come. Look, he just indicted me. My job is just to clean the night, and then say, this is just ₦1 million. This is 500,000. What you guys to buy for, put in your vehicles. And then he leaves the man to come back. The man comes back to, if they even tell him that, look, is that your neighbor, that useless neighbor that told us, and I didn't know it was so useless. Why would they be putting eyes on people, don't even invest,
not minding their business?
It's all test to him. Then the man comes back, oh, you are the one that actually make this, we'll see how it goes. You died. Nobody comes to care. Nobody cares about it. So we are not actually new to the issues. We are not. Look, I will tell you, when we talk about community policy, the people in Kaduna, in southern Kaduna,
yes,
years back, they said, look, we saw some persons in large number parading into a particular community, and that we don't know where they are going to. They are going to a forest. They reported this issue. That was an intelligence report that should be acted upon. What happened? It was neglected. Days back, the same people came back, invaded the community, get those people hostage, and told them, we are aware of everything you have been telling the police. And so, it is better you pay homage to us, we will protect you more, and give us shelter. The people have no choice than to give them shelter, because unfortunately the government has failed them. So when we talk about, the rules of the community, we must define expressly what the community should be doing. You get it? So what the community should be doing, are they being able to fix what should make it effective, so that the community can have a role effective to play in this area, in those areas. For us to do that, they will always tell you there's no manpower. If there's no manpower, you can always, motivate the jobless soldiers parading the food soldiers parading the streets, and then say, come, gentlemen, I have a plan for you. We can always reject these issues of community policing using the locals to support the conventional security, and at the same time again, you cannot use regional security to solve conventional insecurity. Do you understand that? You cannot just go to Benue State or go to Kaduna now and solve a problem, and you say that problems have been solved. No, you must, solve it from the top, and let it get down to all the states. I drive you just to an instance of the case of when you are driving in the federal capital territory today, even your drivers will tell you that, madam, please, we heard that this traffic lights now have cameras. That's subconscious of a thing. It makes them not to obey the traffic, isn't it? Now, some persons have come to realize that, this thing is in Abuja. When it is time for me to go and do my renewal, I'm not doing it in Abuja. Probably I'm coming from Nasarawa State, I'm coming from Lagos, or I'm coming from this. So it is not centralized to wherever you are coming from SY State, so that whenever you beat anywhere part of the country, it reflects on your brain. So we cannot be solving the problem only in the particular state. We must solve it in its own entirety.
So speaking about solving it in entirety, we have less than 4 minutes to go. Of course, let's say one part of the government, of course, the House of Rep member has said, they need something done about it, and Tajuddin Abbas has come out to say they should create a membership that would look into that. But do you think that would actually solve the problem, or the case of insecurity in Nigeria requires swift? When I mean swift, I mean like right now, something needs to be done ASAP.
I'm sure that if any of the child of the House of Rep member, the wife, the mother, was involved in that incident, we won't be talking about just standing 1 minute silence and then make your statements and go about it. I'm sure by now, something may have been done. Or if the president's wife or the daughter or son was involved in such an incident, but all the things we fail to fight definitely comes to haunt us back. Now, if you go to the wife of the widow, to go the wife of the late DPO now, and says, the government is on top of the situation. I can't just imagine her psyche, because the government have been on top of the situation since 63 years, and we really can't say anything about it. So we don't know exactly what formations the government is coming with it. The service teams, no heads is rolling. But if you have given those people, KPI, key performance indicators, that look, when we hear any killings in any part of the country again, and we start arresting, prosecuting, and knowing those that are behind these things, you are gone. Don't permanent their appointment. These guys are supposed to just be, they're not supposed to be confirmed yet. They should be there like, even in my office, I have to have a staff and put it on probation. Give it 3 months and let me see what you can do. These guys are confirmed before acting. Unfortunately, they will tell you we have to be confirmed before we can act. Once you confirm a staff, you make him to relax. Allow them to work. These service chiefs, to me, are not meeting up to par. And to me, the National Security Advisor should not be sleeping on these issues. There are more things to do than attending Labour's meeting and meeting the president for just congratulations aspect of whether he wins election. You should be determined to end insecurity. If really he wants to end insecurity, I am sure he can end insecurity. Remember, we still have a former National Security Advisor that told us he has about 400 lists as the sponsor of Boko Haram. Up to date, Nigerians were waiting for that list. It never comes to pass. So I don't really know the kind of insecurity we are fighting. So I want them to go home sleeping tonight, and they should have this thinking: are they really fighting insecurity, or they are supporting insecurity? That is the question they should be asking themselves. And these service chiefs, are they really out to fight insecurity, or they are just appointed on political games? I don't know what they're fighting. I don't know what they're fighting, because if you give me the map of Benue State to carry out a security survey, which I have done, and submitted even to the governor of the state, His Excellency, for former governor Samuel Otom, for his consideration. I know I sent the same proposal to so many persons to kindly forward to his shelves for his consideration. Each page with the problems and solutions. What were done? So these people have actually politicized insecurity because they feel that the more they come to cry, the more they increase. But the security votes, if I may ask, what have they been using it to do? How many police stations have been beefed up? An individual has been able to build police stations in his own community.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about Professor Dixon, the National Commandant of Peace Corps of Nigeria, built a police station division in his own community and ensure that the people are well protected. Because look, it is the absence of security that brings about insecurity. The moment I enter into a street and I see a policeman carrying his arm, whatever he comes here to do, I have to be very careful of it. So when the presence of a security man is there, he reduces to a barest minimum the kind of insecurity that should be there.
All right, thank you very much. That's been an insightful analysis. We do hope we won't have to talk about insecurity again the next time you'll be joining us on the program.
Well, I think we should be talking about security.
This time. All right, thank you, Jonathan Onoja Isaac,
it's my
a security analyst. This is what we wrap it up for this segment. After the break, we'll be joined by Uthman Issa-Tuchuko, a legal practitioner, to of course analyze the Supreme Court's verdict yesterday. Stay tuned. Don't touch it down.